I want to break down Meghan Markle's biggest insult to the UK and beyond. Welcome to Popcorn Planet. I am Andy Signor, and I'm so excited for today's guest. Oh my gosh, she's an OG. She's been ranting on these two since the beginning. So happy to have, according to Taz here, welcome to the show. How are you doing?
Hi, Andy. It's so nice to meet you. Thank you for having me on.
Well, thank you for being here. Look, the whole point of this Royal Guest Week was, as now this me, a dumb American's finally turned and learning about this, I want to get educated by the best. And so many of my fans were like, oh my God, you got to talk to Taz. She's the best. She's been doing this forever. So honored to have you here. Welcome. This is a safe space. Say whatever you want about these two. But I wanted to get this topic because as I was researching and looking through, there was something you put out there that I didn't really fully process, which was this idea of her biggest insult, and that is the curtsy. And even before we recorded, I said, "Is this safe to call it the biggest insult?" And you said, "What?"
There's one of many. This is the most recent one, I would say. But yeah, this one was pretty big. I
love it. All right, we could debate the others afterwards, but let's focus on this very big recent one, which was the curtsy, because there's actually a lot, interestingly, to it. So I want you to explain your take. But before we go, I have the clip in question. I think it's important we show our viewers the clip in question. So here it was from Meghan and Harry, the Netflix series, the portion where Harry was telling everybody about suddenly she's gonna have to meet.
You're gonna meet my grandmother.
My grandmother, the Queen.
I didn't know I was gonna meet her until moments before. We were in the car and we were going to Royal Lodge for lunch. And he's like, oh, my grandmother's here. She's gonna be there after church. And I remember in the car and driving up and he's, you know how to curtsy, right?
I mean, you can already tell it's a big deal. This is such bullshit. I'm just watching this. The whole performance of her is just so, oh my God. But she's like the whole buildup because she knows this is a big deal. That's why she's telling this damn story. Right, Taz?
Yeah, it's just this big back build-up already. And it's just, yeah, you can just see that it's just one big lie already.
You're already seething. I love it.
I know, it's riling me right back up
I
again.
apologize for making you have to watch this again. Thank you. All right, we're going to truck through it together. Here we go.
And I just thought it was a joke.
No, she didn't. She was so excited. Don't you think she was like, oh my God, finally.
As if, come on, meeting the Queen. Oh, please.
How do you explain that you bow to your grandmother? And that you will need to curtsy, especially to an American?
Very easily. I would think it'd be a very easy conversation of like, hey, you got to curtsy to my grandma. Like, so, there's people who are like, yo, my grandma is a little racist, so you got to don't talk about black people. Or like, everybody's got some weird thing with their grandmothers. Like, don't you think there would have been a very easy conversation to say?
I think that he was actually really offensive there. This is something that other people don't pick up. The fact that he said, you know, especially explaining it to an American. And I thought, well, that's kind of rude to Americans. Americans aren't stupid. They were smart enough to get rid of the monarchy many years ago when they would decided that they didn't want them. And Harry just seems to keep finding more and more ways to be rude about Americans. It's just...
It's weird. The production cynic in me goes, he was fed that by the producers and maybe even Meghan. Like, because he's probably... Because I just think he's very dumb.
Not bored.
Yeah,
100%. You idiot.
And I feel like, right, I mean, come on, Harry, Americans don't know how to curtsy. You should play that up. Play how silly it is that you, come on, no one knows. Like, and he's just feeding a script probably. Maybe I'm giving him too much credit. But yes, I agree. Thank you for defending Americans. It's not that hard to learn how to curtsy.
Like, that's weird.
Now I'm starting to realize this is a big deal. I mean...
She's just starting to realize, Taz.
Americans will understand this. We have medieval times, dinner and tournament. It was like that. Like, I curtsied as though I was like...
Look at Harry's face!
I know. He this moment as well, I was like, I hadn't had any respect for Harry for a long time, but this moment, he is obviously trying to hold back his emotions here. He knows this is wrong. He knows that this is ridiculous. She absolutely, I mean, I can't even put my words together. This just brings out the rage. It was offensive on every possible level. Comparing meeting the Queen to a medieval fancy dress restaurant that you go to for a start, but it's the whole...
Well, hold on. I wouldn't even say fancy dress. It's like cheap costumed, like... It's really bad. It's theme park. There's nothing fancy or nice about it.
And to be so surprised, bearing in mind she'd been dating him for some time. She knows he's a prince and she's dating him. And she was so surprised that she would have to curtsy. What's curtsy? I mean, she really overplays her hand in this. Who wouldn't think to yourself, I'm meeting royalty, I'm meeting the Queen of the United Kingdom. You meet a queen or a king throughout history in any country, it's standard for a curtsy. And she's just, oh, yeah, honestly. Anyway, I will
It's such a, because one, it's very disrespectful, but it's also just such a performance she's doing. And you can tell, like, he's almost looking at camera and then like, oh yeah.
Hammy acting. She really was a terrible actress. She really was.
Was that okay? It was.
He's so embarrassed.
To meet you,
Yeah.
Pleasure to meet you.
Your Majesty.
Or is this sugary sweet? Like she's
okay?
15. She's
Like,
I can't handle watching her.
But it's like, it's so weird because she's trying to tell this relatable, like, oh guys, isn't it wild? I met a queen. But it just, you see through it. And she's mocking it. And you can just see the way she's all overreacting and doing everything. I hear your frustration. And even Harry's just like, yeah, it's all stupid, isn't it?
Yeah, she's talking like she's a child. That's the bit that I can't handle. She's a grown woman, 40 plus. And she's just like, oh, and you just think, oh.
Well, it gets worse. It gets worse, right? There's more to the story. So here's that clip.
It was so intense. And then when she left, Eugenie and Jack and Fergie say, you did great. Thanks.
You did great. Thanks. She has to end it with how great she did.
Yeah.
She has to end it right. Now, but here's where I want to get to because there's a lot here. Everyone then was immediately like, dude, Princess Diana knew how to do the perfect curtsy. It's not that hard. There was more stuff of her ejecting curtsies later, but this was the biggest reveal that later resurfaced clips from Suits, her show, proved she knew how to curtsy.
It was all bullshit. Bullshit.
Here she is in Suits doing a perfect curtsy.
Perfect.
That's how you do it.
Yeah, exactly.
So this actress who's such a pro did it on her damn show, but didn't know how to do it for Her Majesty the Queen. Unleash. Go ahead.
Have you seen the pictures of her when she was a little girl at a friend's birthday party?
No, so she did it then too?
There's photographs online. Honestly, look it up and you can include it in any of your future videos. She is at a friend's birthday party. It was a little girl's birthday. And Meghan decided that she was going to be the one that plays the Queen and wears a crown. And she was getting the other little girls to treat her as the Queen, say, yes, Your Majesty. This was when she was like 6 or 7. There you go. And it was another little girl's birthday party too, but Meghan was the one that got to play dress up and be the Queen. You can't make this stuff up.
Oh my God. So I mean, everyone says this. She's obsessed with it as a kid, but here she is with the crown.
Yeah.
Markle.
Honestly, she's getting little girls to say, yes, Your Majesty.
And help.
So it's crazy because I still get a lot of people who are like, Andy, how dare you? They're victims. Leave them alone. You were so good with the Johnny trial. How did you not see through that the media is... And I'm like, because I got eyes? Like, there's a lot of us, I think, that just ignored it because we don't care. Like, it's like the table, the South Park episode. I felt very related to everyone at the table who's like, oh my God, Kyle, shut up. I don't care anymore. But when it's forced in and you hear it over and over, you start getting annoyed. You're like, yeah, this isn't right. And the more and more stuff, as I meet you guys and learn more about the history, I get why there's this deep anger because she's a hypocrite. She's a total lying hypocrite. And there's more and more evidence I'm discovering all the time. I mean, is that fair to say?
Yeah. Oh, there's so much. Honestly, your brain will just pop open. It's the bit where you say like the people that are now saying to you that you shouldn't be covering this. You were so good covering the Johnny and Amber Heard. Amber Heard's cut from the same cloth as Meghan Markle, and I can't understand people that saw through Amber and knew that Johnny was innocent can't see certain things that Meghan is doing, and especially the way Harry's changed. There's definitely, I think, similarities between the women, and Meghan has lied
That's a good.
so
Maybe we
much.
should have that conversation in part 2. I like that conversation.
Yeah.
Who's worse, Meghan or Amber? Uh-oh. But you're right. No, you're right. There's a lot, and I think it's a valued thing of like, this is the royal. This is a big deal over by you guys, obviously. The royals, the history, right? All of it. And she's
It's
just
part
making
our
a mockery
national
of it all.
identity. Yeah, the royals are part of our national identity. I mean, not everyone's a royalist, but for the majority of the country, that's why we still have them. They are parts of, part of the UK, part of the Commonwealth countries. It's part of us. It's the most continuous thing that you have from birth. The royal family are there. The royal family were there when my grandparents were born. My parents were born when I've been there, and I've grown up the same generation, and I've watched Catherine, William, and Harry. We're all roughly the same age, give or take a couple of years. So yeah.
Yeah, it's wild. So I'm glad to be a convert, and I'm glad you're here to help us. And yeah, I mean, this Curtsy is a very fair, and I'm glad. It was one of your tweets that sort of really made me look at it. And as the more I research this point specifically, I see it. So I mean, yeah. Final thoughts on this. We're going to talk more with Taz over on Popcorn Palace next. So stay tuned. But I want to give you the final word here. Why is this one the most insulting? I mean, one of the most insulting moments for you specifically, just to give you a recap.
I think it's because they knew that the Queen, it's come out that they knew the Queen was dying of bone cancer. She was dying. She'd already lost Philip, and they still chose to do the Oprah show when they knew that he was dying. And for them to have filmed this, knowing that the Queen was still grieving, knowing all of the stress and everything that she'd been going through, and the fact that she was very, very sick, to film this. And Meghan is completely just patronising, ridiculing the whole tradition, the respect that's to be shown for the Queen, the fact that she's quite clearly lying. Of course, Harry would have told her way before she got in the car that she would have to curtsy when she met the Queen. The fact is that Meghan would have known that she would have had to curtsy for the Queen from that age when she's wearing that crown. It's the fact that it was done when the Queen was so ill, and Harry and Meghan have preached about nothing but their love and their respect for Her Majesty, and yet they do this, and they are being paid to do this. So it was a hit job on the Queen, and this whole curtsy, it was just one big lie.
Well said. It explains so much of, I think that curtsy in itself explains so much of why people are so upset with her. And one last thing I'm noticing, because as I was watching it, Prince Harry's reaction, there's almost like a surprise and disgust to his face. It's hard to not see.
He's not happy. He's not happy.
And the other tell I can tell from this is like, I think he knows she's not being honest.
Yeah.
Like he's probably like, this isn't actually how it went down. Maybe she gave a normal curtsy then, and now suddenly she's over exaggerating it for the sake of the documentary to mock the royals. Like who knows what actually happened? But do you see what I mean? Like there's a little hesitancy in his reaction, and it's not like
happy.
Yeah, like if that was a real scene, like when my family and I recollect our crazy awkward moments, we all laugh and smile and have like a shared joy to it of like, oh, that was so silly, and oh my God.
Yeah, there's no
he's
amusement
nervous.
in his face. Yeah, he's not happy about it, but like with everything, he just goes along with whatever Meghan does. It's almost like he just, you think any other person would have said, that's not quite fair, that's not quite right. He's not happy, he's not laughing and joking, like you said. It would have been a shared cute moment between them, but he's pissed about it, and then he smirks just to make sure that he's smiling when she looks at him, so he knows that that she's approving, he's got her approval.
And she never looks at him.
She does a little side eye afterwards.
Well, no, but she's side-eyeing to like beyond it. It's a performance side eye. That is not an actual like. She'd have to turn her head to see him because they're side by side.
Yeah.
And then he doesn't. He because she doesn't make contact. He just looks down.
It's a coward. This shows him to be a coward to in that moment, because you can tell he wasn't happy. But before she looked at him, or he thought that she was going to look at him, he quickly puts a smile on his face so she doesn't see him looking unhappy with her latest acting, stunt that she's just done. He quickly plasters a smile on so he doesn't get in trouble.
Yeah, well, she says she gave up acting, but that was a lie, because here it is right here in the show, and it's all throughout that documentary.
She, as Harry's wife, she's playing the biggest role she's ever played.
Yeah.
This is-
Oh my God, it's crazy. Well, I love this conversation. We're going to continue it over on Popcorn Palace. Make sure you subscribe to According to Taz. Why is my mouse slow? I'm trying to hit the button. There it is. Officially, I like to do it on.
Yay!
We are subscribed. Make sure you subscribe as well to According to Taz. You can also follow her over on Twitter, Instagram, etc. We will continue this conversation. I want to talk. Is she as bad as Amber Heard? Plus, I want to learn a bit more about how Taz got into all this. So make sure you subscribe to all the channels if you haven't already. Hers here on Planet, over on Popcorn Palace. Hit the bells, smash the like buttons, and leave a comment down below on your thoughts. Do you think the curtsy really is that most offensive moment for many, or is there one that offends you more? I want to hear them in the comments. Maybe we'll make a video about it. Stay tuned for part 2 over on Popcorn Palace next.